Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Support for this podcast comes from Crown Royal. Be sure to try the new Crown Royal Texas Mesquite, a fine blended Canadian whiskey infused with Texas Mesquite wood flavors. Available at your nearest store that sells booze. Must be 21 or older to purchase. Please drink responsibly. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and if not, there's other podcasts out there to listen to. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hash Time. I'm your host, Mike Escamilla. Today's guest, finally, from his neck of the woods, one hell of a guy, actually the greatest motherfucker I know.
You said that about Tony.
You know what? I did.
You did.
Music,
I listened.
Radio, just a great guy to talk to. Please give it up for Rick Kubic. Rick, thank you for coming out today.
Well, thanks so much, Mike, for having me on. Appreciate it. A nice little opium den you have here on the Hash Time. It is very nice. A good hideaway for a radio show. I don't like to say podcast, so I think you should just say welcome. Thanks for joining us here on the show, because that podcast, this way it makes it more radio-esque.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
All right. So don't use podcast anymore.
Okay. Definitely
right?
will not. Yes, definitely.
Radio. I know it's not radio because we're on the computer and it's internet, and it's not really radio because radio's terrestrial radio, but you could still kind of claim it as radio or make it feels like radio to me. Does this feel like a podcast, Leo? Does this feel like a podcast? Feels like a radio show, right?
It feels like a radio.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it.
You found the place okay, right?
Right. And free parking. Wow. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, you had that.
So, one of the things that I kind of been thinking about,
Is your name? You going by Miguel?
No.
You don't go by Miguel? That's your modeling name.
That's my model alias.
Because it's Mike Escamilla, a.k.a. Miguel, a.k.a. Beer. That's what I call it. I like beer.
Beer is good, though, too. We will actually get onto the whole Miguel name in a bit. We gotta.
Leo doesn't know anything about it. Leo's the producer here.
He does not, actually.
Oh, okay. I'd like to hear those, Leo.
I know you from WJOB, but one thing I've always wanted to know was, should I have been born 40 years before? If I would have got to know Matt or Rose Rick.
Primarily the same guy. I'm still kind of who I am. That didn't really matter. The Matt or Rose thing was just a band that came about, and we did some work with it. The same guy, maybe a little bit more mellowed. When you're traveling in a band, there's a lot going on, and we were at a certain level that was, fairly high, and so it got out of hand for a while, and you live that lifestyle. But maybe I'm a little more mellow.
How did you get affiliated with them?
It's a long story, man.
Or how did you join that band? Because you're the drummer.
Yeah, it just came about. I was beating around in New York City for years, and I was fortunate. In the 80s, I did a lot of things with Ex-Plasmatic. I lived with one of the Plasmatics. You remember Wendy O. Williams and all that. And one thing led, I was kind of networking a lot, doing a lot of gigs, doing a lot of bar gigs in the 80s. And then the 90s came and, went out to L.A. for a while and then came back to Chicago for a bit, got a gig at a place called Limelight. It was all networking. It's all networking and a bit of luck. So when I returned to New York, it was probably late 80s, and I was playing a lot of rockabilly gigs, played in a Western swing band with this guy, Whit Smith. Had a lot of things, 5 different bands, doing all kinds of things, driving a cab, trying to pay the rent. It was fun, but yet not stressful because I didn't really have any major commitments except my ex-wife. So that's a commitment. I hope if she's listening, doesn't matter. And I don't know, just one thing led to another. I met this guy, Matt Verderay, through an ad in the Village Voice. You looked at ads back then, in the newspaper, circle it. Drummer wanted, it was always like drummer wanted, must be serious for all original band, label interests. It was always that thing. So I was like, yeah. But Matt was a real networker, and started playing with a rockabilly band that he had called Greasy Swirl. And he was involved with a bunch of different people. It was a great time, late 80s, early 90s, Lower East Side in New York City. And then one day, Matt told me about his friend Billy and said, he's starting his band and it's alternative rock. And I was like, what's alternative? I don't know what that is. And Matt came to my house one Sunday. He said, yeah, they're going to audition. Why don't you go audition? They're going to get signed, blah, blah, blah. So I went and auditioned, got the gig, and then we got signed relatively quickly with no demo tapes, no fancy demo tapes, nothing like that. It was kind of an amazing time. But it was, Nirvana was out and all that grunge thing was going on. So the labels were really signing everybody in the alternative thing. All the majors were inventing these little small indie labels, but they were really under the umbrella of a major label. So it was primarily a good time and luck. Again, luck. You could be a great musician and just not have the luck. And it just kind of all fell together. Everything fell together. The manager, the booking agent, what I was striving for since the 70s just happened in a few months. So timing. It's timing and luck.
Would take a lot into it.
I don't care how good you are. It's timing and luck. So
one thing I forgot to mention.
Yes.
We got some Kraken here. We got some Kraken Black Spiced Rum. I'm kind of wondering if you would like a glass of this.
I've been waiting.
I've been waiting.
McCracken.
You're
going to do the glass thing? You're going to get the glass noises? You're going to do?
Yeah, you'd have a better chance at pouring those than me.
Oh, that's good. No, thank you. Leo's pouring up some. Oh, I like that Misfits glass. Is that yours?
Nope, that one's mine.
Oh, that one's yours.
That is actually from my friend Shauna. She has a company called Handy Mama Designs.
Oh, very good, very good. How did you get into radio? Into this podcast thing?
Hanging around people like you and Tony and Chuck. And kind of like, I would say more so Tony. But the idea of a podcast was always like there for me. It was something I just kind of kept on my back burner. It wasn't up until about a month ago I wanted to start doing something, acting on it, so to say.
Oh, very good. I'm glad you're doing it, man. A lot of people, and I have to admit, I listen to yours, and there's a lot out on the web. There's tons of podcasts. There's all kinds of people doing stuff. So you read well. That's one thing. Cheers, Leo. Cheers. Thank you. So a little spiced rum. Yes. Let's see if I smell vanilla. Yeah, it smells like vanilla.
A little hint of vanilla.
Oh, that's good.
It is a good one.
It's almost like chocolate milk, and I don't drink milk.
Oh, you know what?
No,
I can't. I am
You
lactose.
Drink milk?
You know what? I'll get a craving. I'll get some munchies sometimes, and
like chocolate chip cookies and dipping them in milk.
Chocolate chip cookies, but I dip them in chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. I can't. It's hard for me to handle milk. The other day, we were visiting some friends down in Lafayette, West Lafayette, on the Purdue campus, and we went into this diner, and they were all making these milkshakes, and I stopped drinking milk when I was about 8 or 9. I just didn't like milk that much.
Yeah,
I was more of I liked the cured meats. Even as a little kid, I didn't like candy. I was more like cured meats, salamis, things of that sort. And so as it turns out, I did have the milkshake, and I paid for it. It was good when I was having vanilla. I love vanilla. So this reminds me a little bit milky, but it's not really.
I didn't get that. I get the Kahlua.
Oh, that's
style from
it. Kahlua is kind of like chocolate milk, right?
Not as thick, but
right, a little watered down.
So
you get the munchies quite often, and you drink the milk with chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk with some chocolate chip cookies, some Chips Ahoy. Comes out really good, actually.
Right, I could imagine. I had a friend who ate pizza, and he loved milk. He chased down the pizza with milk, and that's just a bit odd.
Ooh,
cold pizza, cold milk. Had to be all cold, and I was like, I think I'll pass.
That's like that's a combination that doesn't go well. That's like too much dairy. That's like, explode the bathroom after kind of dairy.
What did you call your car again? What do you call your car?
The pizza shit.
Oh, the pizza shit. Okay.
I had sent that
First
to you.
I was like,
message.
what? Is he driving pizzas now? Is he delivering pizzas for Domino's down the street? I was just curious. That's nice.
That car is a champ, though. I do love it. Getting back on here. So you're with Matt Rose, and like you said, everything just kind of happened
that was
when you started getting with them. And what year was that?
1991. That was 91. And then we first record came out April 93. And it took like a year to negotiate the deal, and then we went down to, I think, Philadelphia to record the first album and who's going to produce it, and there was a lot of rigmarole. And in the meantime, I was playing with a rockabilly band, and I did some bits out in Europe, But it all came out. It came out in '93. We did well. We got a good push out Europe way, England and all that. And
yeah, I seen that. You guys were at Reading Festival, 1993.
Yeah, Reading and all those bits, and Glastonbury, and we just got a big push, And Atlantic was a decent label to us. They gave us somewhat of a push here, but they signed a bunch of bands. All the labels did, and just saw what stuck to the wall, and then Atlantic saw that Stone Temple Pilots were going, and Jewel, and a few other bands, and they started putting everything behind that. And to do it in America takes a lot of cash and a lot of cash. It takes a lot of cash. So they pushed us into smaller markets in Europe, and it panned out well for us. So it was all good.
What
Long
got you
time
into...
ago. Jeez, I feel like an old fart. My God. It's called fossil rock now. That's what I'm calling it.
That's what it's called? Or is that what it's called to you?
That's what I'm calling it, fossil rock. Yes.
I still think though,
That's the new thing, baby. Get the walker out.
Me being my age, the tender age of 28.
28. Oh, my Lord.
I feel like the 90s, out of all music, 90s music was the best.
I don't even listen to the stuff we did. Occasionally, my wife might play a song or someone might post something online, and I'll see. I'll listen to it, but I don't go back and listen. So it's I don't know. For me, music. I was big. I was a little kid in the '60s, so 60s was a big thing. I liked. My dad used to listen to like old country. So I had a little bit of that. And that was like Squaresville to me when you're a little kid. And then Dad turned me on to Gene Krupa and the jazz thing, and I was digging that. And then the Beatles came out, and I was like, wow, look at this. Because a lot of the jazz guys for drums, I was like, man, I'll never do that. I'm a little kid still. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's going on. I'm only 7 years old or whatever. So as it turns out, like Gene Krupa, that was influence for drums, and then Beatles and Stones, and I like the Beatles and all that, but all that, Hollies and all those bands from the 60s were big influence. And then 70s, Prague thing, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple,
Pink Floyd,
those things.
Like
I wasn't huge on Pink Floyd. I mean, I liked it, but then I started looking for obscure stuff. I remember I'd buy records just because the cover looked weird, and I found Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band, and that's something that I really dug, and went in that vein. The Frank Zappa type thing and all that, and then prog rock. Genesis, early Genesis, before the schmaltzy parts came out. It was because the drumming was intense. Early Yes, things of that sort. So those are bands I listened to. Then the 80s I listened to music as well, but I don't know. I listened to it, but I didn't sit. I wanted to do it, so I was trying to just create my own thing, and I'd listen to that and that. But once you start making music, you don't have time to listen to other stuff as much. Nowadays, I barely listen to anything. Really don't.
Wow. Not even when you're driving your car?
You could call home and ask my wife. Well, in the car, I'll turn on the radio, sometimes AM or FM. But, sometimes the songs just come on. It's the same 5 Elton John songs. Nothing against Elton John. I like him, but there's other stuff he put out, things of that sort. But
what were some of the bands that you toured with? Any sort of big names that you would have toured with when you were with Mataros? We
toured with Chuck Pullen, his band, and Tony Panic's early band. And We did some double bills along the way. Opening, everyone thinks like opening is great. You want to open for a big band. It's good and bad points about it. I never cared. Once we were signed and had a record, I wanted to just do our own gigs. And we would do a double bill, or we toured with Courtney Love and Hole, and we toured with Bush. Bush was a good one for us because it got us, I think they were doing about 10,000 seaters back then. It was a secondary tour. So they were doing, Indianapolis, Bloomington, things of that sort. And venues weren't humongous. They were 10, 15,000, and they just hit. They just had their first hit. So we opened for them. They paid us well, too, and treated us really, really kindly. And that was kind of good for us, got us in front of a crowd. But it could be detrimental, too, because when you opening for Hole was kind of odd because she chose us before her record was even finished. They had chosen us to open, and we were more of a kind of our early stuff was kind of a little more rock, and but they had that kind of I'm lost for words here. Kind of a druggy Lower East Side kind of music.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't like all fast and rock and roll and all that.
Mellowy.
So there were some mid tempo to slow songs but still with some powerful punches. So opening for them was plus she was kind of an entity, so everyone wanted to come see Courtney fuck up.
Yeah.
They wanted to see Courtney fall off the stage or have all that lipstick smeared on her like Sweet Baby Jane. So that was the show itself was just her. So when we'd be playing, these were young kids coming to these shows. They just wanted Courtney. So in that, when you look at it that way, it could be not it's not fun because they just want you go to a show, right, and you want to see. I don't know, who do you like? You want to see Taylor Swift? You're a Swiftie?
Yeah, of course.
So they want to see Swift,
and then you got the opening band.
Yeah, and then the opening band comes in. Oh, we'll go get a beer.
That's the thing with the opening bands.
I never liked it.
I'll enjoy some of them if I walk in and I hear it. There was an opening band when Tony and I went to go see the Misfits. That was in April. There was an opening band, and I just now found them, Venom Inc. They're kind of a punky. It's like a punk Motorhead almost. It's cool, but it's like an older punk, heavier, style from our friends across the pond over there.
Right.
Speaking of across the pond, and since we're talking about the opening bands and things like that, doing shows like Glastonbury and things like that, playing those big fests, those shows specifically were focused on you. You weren't opening up for anybody.
Well, playing a festival is different. You have your slot. There are several stages. Some of these, I think, Glastonbury, or was it Glastonbury or... losing my mind. Some of them had 10 stages, a couple main stages and medium-sized stage. You'd have a main stage might be in front of 50,000 people, and then a smaller stage you might be in front of 10,000, 15,000, depending. So it's not really nobody's headlining. They would have the main act would come on late at night. I guess that would be their headline. But so to me, you just had your slot. So some bands you think would be maybe bigger were slotted at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. or 8, but then maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers would have the main slot. Whatever band was really beaming at the time would get that the last slot of the night or whatever. So,
but you got a lot of exposure out of that.
That was good for us. Yeah, the festivals were fun. I loved playing them because you just pop in. Sometimes it was a grind because you just get there and. I remember the first time we did Reading, the traffic was kind of funky, and we just came from somewhere else. We played I think we played a festival called Lowlands, and this was when the Pumpkins were coming out. We did a radio show at this place. I forget where Lowlands is, in Denmark or somewhere like that. And then we had to, I think we flew in, and then they had to pick us up, and then we got to the festival 15 minutes before we had to play. So, and then we finished, and then we had to leave right away because we had other gigs to do. So a lot of times you just go in and out. I think the second time we played there, we had a little more time. We were slotted later, and we were doing a gig in London or wherever. And when we went to Reading, we had a little more time. We could hang out. We didn't have anything planned that night. So it depends on your schedule, everybody's schedule. So it's a real grind. Everyone thinks, yeah, sit around and party. No, I got to be in Minneapolis, and you got to leave from Chicago. So it's a direct. You got to get on the road, So
now I'm going to ask this because I know, you were on VH1, I think, and maybe you had a spot open at. I think I seen a music video on YouTube, and there was a VH1 logo, old school VH1 logo. But I know there was one too of you guys. Some show on MTV.
Yeah, it was, I think, 120 Minutes you're thinking of. It was kind of a show that MTV played late night and played all the bands that weren't so popular. You wouldn't see the Prince on there or anything like that, or the Queens, or, the Queens, I'm using old term, the band Queen.
Yeah.
So 120 Minutes was all the indie bands would come on there. The bands that maybe were only selling 10,000 records or 50,000 records. So I think we got a couple hits on that, and might have been VH1 too. Yeah, so we did. I think we did 4 videos off the first 2 albums, and never shot one on the third or fourth. So
fan base.
Do you
have a bigger fan base here in America, or
it was spotty
over there in Europe?
It was weird. It was spotty. New York, we always did well. Chicago, we did well. West Coast, okay. Southeast, not so much. Texas, it was spotty. Play Iowa City, it turned out because it's a college town, so people come out. Lawrence, Kansas, good. it was spotty. Europe, we always had a good turnout. It just kept a bigger push there. We were kind of more of big shots or whatever.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of your songs was actually used on the Sopranos.
They did.
The
They
HBO.
used off the fourth album. They used the track for I think it was the third to last show for the Sopranos, which was cool. I like that kind of stuff.
How many albums did you have with Matt Rose?
We did 3 with Atlantic, and then we did 1 with Cooking Vinyl, a British label that picked us up towards the end. So we were together from 91 till 2000.
Okay.
Then we disbanded. Went our separate ways. I was just using music as a springboard for my film career and my radio career.
Speaking of radio.
Yes, radio.
What got you into
I always
radio?
loved radio, man, just like you.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's still people like I've listened to for years, like Howard Stern, Mancow, and not so much Mancow anymore. Older Mancow was funnier.
Right. Well, it's a tough gig, It's
Yeah.
a tough gig to get a radio gig.
But Howard Stern was definitely somebody.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
always.
I remember when he was first breaking in New York, I was listening to him, and I thought he was brilliant. And
he's a genius.
yeah, radio. As a little kid, I used to listen, believe it or not, I listened to talk radio a lot when I was small. I always had a radio on my nightstand next to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was just amazed that you could sit there and some guy's talking somewhere else, and it's coming right into your house, into your bedroom like magic. You didn't really have to pay for anything, not like internet now. And there was a certain mystique about radio, even music back then, because we didn't have the internet. You didn't have this instant gratification. Or, for instance, there were bands that would come out and you never saw a photograph. Maybe they don't, like, I remember the band Yes never had a photograph on their album of the band. So you didn't even know you're going to see them. Like, what do these guys look like? There weren't videos back then. And radio's similar. You would hear someone on the radio and you never really saw the face. They didn't have it on YouTube, or we didn't have any of that stuff. I'm good, thanks. So a certain mystique with radio, like, who is this guy? I never saw him, where now everything's kind of just in your face all the time. But radio, as a little kid, I used to listen to it, and then I used to have a little reel-to-reel tape player when I was a little kid. They had these, like, Mission Impossible had, Good Morning, Mr. Phelps, that little reel-to-reel 4-inch reels. And I used to play in my bedroom, pretend I was on radio and do bits and listen to it and then rewind it and erase it because I couldn't afford another reel of tape. And kind of they always just dabbled in radio in some form, either through the music trade, and then especially with Matt Rose, we'd travel town to town. We'd always do a radio gig, and I was kind of jealous because we were traveling all the time, and this guy just sits there and he does his show and he comes in like a job, just go to work, do your radio show, go home. So I just always wanted to do it, and I had a few friends that had radio shows, one on the East Coast, Erwin Schusid with WFMU. He was always good with Matt Rose. He was a big fan and really helped us along the way too. And a few other guys, and then I just thought when I got back here in the Midwest, I heard WJOB, so I just kind of went in and pitched a show. And they gave it to me. So
wow,
that. Yeah,
that's actually really cool. So.
Yeah, it's hard to get a radio gig. I had a couple friends that were at it for several years, and one guy was always in some podunk town, or Acorn, Iowa, corn stalk still growing, WCORN, or whatever it may be. And he ended up actually in Indianapolis after quite a long time at a oldies station, so it panned out for him. But it's hard to get that. So
you pitched that show, and you're still...
That was the Music Underdogs bit. I said, yeah.
You had Music Underdogs, then you did Region After Dark, and now you got The Front Room.
Right. Yeah, Music Underdogs was 3 years. That was 4 nights a week. I think it was Sunday through Thursday or something. Sunday through Wednesday, I can't remember. Then there were some changes there, and then I was going to do another music show, and then we kind of decided let's try late night talk. So that one really panned out for me. I did that for 3 years as well, 4 nights a week. So, and then contractual differences, things of that sort. So then we had to move on, and things changed, and other people come in. Tony Panic came in and took over the whole station.
I'm surprised they just don't give him that. That guy lives at WJOB.
Right.
Except on Sundays. He's there. He's there.
What happens on Sundays?
Sundays is his other gig. That's why he's...
Other gig? What other gig?
What the hell does he do? Oh, he works at the Walgreens up there in EC.
I didn't know that.
He's been there for like 1,000 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to go in. What does he do there? Is he a pharmacist? I'm hoping he's a pharmacist.
Street pharmacist.
Street pharmaceuticals. That's where I went to Hegwashu for that. That's right. So
I like that.
I love this. I love the name of the show, Hash Time.
Hash Time's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Hash Time.
I like it.
The opiate thing. You're into the opiates, or?
Oh, no, me?
Oh, no, okay. Hash,
No.
Have you seen a block of hash around lately? I haven't seen hash in years.
I've never seen a block of hash. I've seen pictures
Chunks,
on the internet.
Chunks of hash. But they have. I don't smoke weed or anything anymore. But I remember when I was a kid, we'd smoke the weed. Then you'd have the hash oil. You dip the joint in the hash oil, and then you had the hash. You have hash, and it have a gold seal on it, and there'd be chunks. You put it in, and I haven't had hash in a long time.
I had a hippie pot dealer like years ago. It's kind of typical stoner guy,
right?
Long hair, always smells like BO, things like that. He used to sell hash. He sold it for a little bit too much. Sometimes if I had a little extra cash, I'd be like, yeah, let me try a little piece of that. And it was like this weird chunk of like clay or something that had this purpley goldish color to it.
It was kind of mold. It was kind of damp.
Yeah,
moist. Yeah, when we traveled in Europe, we were in Copenhagen, and if you ever get out to Copenhagen, Denmark, there's a place called Christiania, and it's an old military base where in the 70s people started squatting in this old military base, and it's right in the city, sort of in the city somewhere. You'd have to look it up on Google Earth or something. And when we went there, we did a gig in Christiania. They had it's like maybe 400 or 500 people could fit into this club they had. Kind of cool. And we came up, and what it was is these squatters, I guess, it turned out to be, I guess, people were either squatting there, and then they put up kiosk and they sell, and it's an area in Denmark, in Copenhagen, where you could actually legally sell weed, pot, and all those bits.
Hash.
Weed, pot, and hash. And you go in there, and it's like a produce. I shit you not. It's like a produce center, and you walk in, and they would have these big squares of hash, and you'd buy little chunks or whatever you'd want, just like a regular market. I got to lift this up a little bit. I think it's fallen.
Yeah, go ahead. You can adjust that. We're actually going to take a small commercial break. We'll be right back with more Hash Time.
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. You better come down here, get some of this shit. You like to eat. America loves to eat. So why not open up somewhere America can sit down, enjoy a meal, and get their feet rubbed? We'll fry anything you want for $5.99. As long as it's friable or edible, we gonna make it deliciousable. We will fry parts of the chicken you didn't even know was friable. The beak, the feathers, we'll fry candy bars. All that European stuff that you don't really normally eat, we'll bring it down here and fry it for you. Ask McDonald's to fry something other than what they normally fry. Guess what you're gonna get? Nothing. If it fit through the dough, I'll put it in the fryer. Hell, this is a dinosaur. All our meats are gently tenderized to their optimum deliciousness. We got fine dinosaur meat. Took my money, made me pay child support. Come on down here and get you a slice. Once they get your social security number, it's over. Motivated, 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 motivated. So friends, let's just decide you don't want no barbecue. Well, that's fine too. Why not let one of my foot specialists or myself perform our magic? Look at that, don't they look wonderful? If you really pay me enough, we'll massage your feet in any of these sauces also. Success is the rule down here at Jones Good Ass Barbecue and Foot Massage. So go ahead and give me a call or find us on the worldwide internets at the new website. That's JONES Big Ass Truck Rental and Storage.com/Jones Good Ass Barbecue and Foot Massage.html.
Excuse me, did you call number 52?
Did you hear me call number 52?
So you want to marry a Polish woman? Do you have a girlfriend, Mike?
I do not.
You don't?
No.
Didn't you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until April of this year.
How long that last?
Not long. It was from September to April.
September to April. Okay. Yeah,
no, May.
Well, you're not looking really, right? You don't want to.
Maybe.
At your age, well, listen, I think I was 28. Yeah, I was 28 when I first got married. I never thought I'd get married. Kind of odd.
I would like to at some point in my life.
I was such an asshole. So, I mean.
Thank you, everyone. We are back right now, continuing this episode with our guest, Rick Kubic.
There was a break. Are you going to play those quirky commercials you have or something?
We are.
Who does those?
Jones.
Who?
Jones.
Who the hell's Jones?
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
Yeah.
What's the other one he had? Jones.
But who does them? Did you do those or?
No, we found those on YouTube.
Oh, they're just. I thought you guys produced them.
Dude lives like in Chicago somewhere.
Oh.
He was having all these ones. So we were like, yeah, we need something quirky to just throw in for a commercial
I like
break.
that.
Came out good.
More of that stuff. Yeah.
So where were we at? You're
going to marry a Polish woman. You like Polish food?
I love Polish food.
All right, now these two guys are Mexican. Let me tell you a story. I grew up Polak, all right? My mom and dad, I loved the roast beef. They used to make pot roast, mashed potatoes, gravy. Then my mom would make some sort of pork butts. I don't even know what this meat is. Pork butts. Do you know what pork butts are? It's a thin piece of pork with a bone, and my mom would cook it because it was really like a cheap cut of meat, so you have to cook the shit out of it so that you could saw into it. Although you can't do it rare. So we had all great food. We thought it was good. I never had any Mexican food. I'd ask my mom, pizza, too spicy. And I love, kids love pizza. So we never used to get pizza delivered all that much. When I got older, we'd save up a little money, order a pizza, come to the house, we'd watch some spooky movies, things of that sort. So where was I? Wait, where was I? What was I initially talking about?
Mexicans.
So, my mom, no pizza, nothing like that. So I started playing a band when I was a little kid. We put a garage band together. Just kids on the block. You got a guitar, you got a bass. My dad has an old amp.
How old were you?
I don't know, 8, 9, something like that. 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started playing drums early, and I had a drum set. My parents bought me a drum set, a really nice one, a Ludwig bit, and so I had some good equipment, and I go, we're going to go out to the garage and play. And my mom's like, you can't take those drums out. So that's an offshoot of the story, but I used to take them out anyway, and we'd play in the garage, make noise as a kid. And there was this Mexican kid, John Perez, and I became really good buddies with him. We put little kids playing in the band. We started another band, get a little better, 8th grade, something like that. And John said, why don't you come by the house? My mom's going to make some food. I've never seen a taco. I didn't know. South Chicago, right? Southeast side of Chicago. Just in our house, there were no tacos. The spiciest thing was chili, which my dad made a pretty good chili. So I go to this house, and we're rehearsing, and we're playing in the basement, for his parents. And playing monkey songs, things like that. I'm a believer, trying to do that kind of stuff. So his mom calls us up and had this spread of all this tacos, making these wonderful tacos. She would take the tortilla and put it in grease in a pan and fry it that way to warm it up. I mean, super greasy, super good. So that was my introduction. Wow, Mexican food. Then Mexican Inn. Let's go to Mexican Inn. It was on 95th in Ewing on the southeast side of Chicago. And so you like Polish food. You'd like to have a Polish, like an old peasant Polish woman? Is that what you're looking for?
Define old peasant Polish.
The house dress, the babushka, the apron that's out of crazy print.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you'd want that. Okay. I just was trying to clarify things.
Or a Greek woman.
A Greek woman. Oh, a Greek woman's good. Yeah, but you got to go to church. That's all that crossing signing. Did you ever go to the Greek church?
I went there one time.
Crossed the wrong way or the right way. I don't want to offend anyone. I was brought up Catholic. So are you Catholic?
No.
What are you?
Myself.
Okay, you're just yourself. Are you Catholic?
I'm Christian.
Christian. Okay. I don't really think it matters, so I'm not uptight about it. But I was just wanting to know.
I believe in God. I believe in an afterlife, I guess.
It's hard for me to say anything on that. I grew up Catholic, but 8th grade I got fed up, went to public school. I couldn't get into the religion after being forced to go to church and all that. Nothing against it. I think that there is a God of some sort for everybody. Maybe you have your picture of God is different than Leo's or mine. It's always supposed to be some old guy with a big beard and stuff up there, right?
Yeah.
Hanging out on a cloud.
I think that's its generalized.
Hanging on a cloud. Okay. Now, who wrote that in the Bible?
See, Yeah.
Well, you're wondering, but nothing against it.
No.
I'm more a science guy, but I think having something to believe in is great. And I have other things that I believe in as well as my wife. We don't practice being a Catholic or anything. Nothing against it.
I wouldn't say I'm like religious. I would think of myself as like more of a spiritual person.
Yes, the spiritual. Rub a couple rocks together and things like that.
Oh, no, not like that.
No, okay.
Do things good for your soul.
Right.
Things that are good for your soul is what's going to make you happy.
Beer.
Lots and lots of beer. That one could work
and
too.
And other things as well.
Oh, yeah. Jazz cabbage. Jazz cabbage is always good for the soul.
But thank you for this. Rum is good.
This rum is good. I still feel like nobody knows the jazz cabbage.
I have to be honest. The first time I heard that was here.
Jazz cabbage?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. I can't say I've heard it.
You think that's a good term?
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
I
get all jazzed up on this cabbage, man. I mean, they call it,
It actually dates back to like the 30s and 40s with your black jazz musicians.
I bet it does, yeah.
And they would, they'd be in the back, they'd roll a joint, and they'd smoke, and they'd go out and play their music.
Yeah, jazz you up, man.
Yeah, jazz cabbage. Yeah. Like, it's green, it's leafy. It's like a miniature Brussels sprout. Brussels sprouts are cabbage, jazz and cabbage. Mix it all into one. That's how I would think of it the best way. But, yeah, that's what I stick to calling it. Had the profile picture, too, that said, free the jazz cabbage. It's a cabbage with the shades and the saxophone little hat. Nah, that was actually a really cool picture that I found. And that was just on Google, just Google searching jazz cabbage.
So, good marketing plan.
It's a really good marketing plan. One of the things, was there like any projects that you did post Matter Rose? What I should say. Getting back on the topic here. Like any other projects that you did, like musically?
Me? You mean personally?
Yeah, for you.
Other musical projects.
Did you drum for any other bands?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Matter Rose was the main one. And right during that time when we started, there was our bassist, Matt Verderay, who's actually a guitarist, started a band called Speedball Baby. Kind of a punky blues spoken word thing. And if you look that up on YouTube, Speedball Baby. And I demoed with them a lot, did some early gigs with them. And then they kind of, Matt left Matter Rose in the second, when the second album was finished, Matt left to concentrate on Speedball Baby. So that was a fun project that I did on the side and did some recording with them as well. They were on a label called MCA Fort Apache. I think they were on PCP Records as well. They got a bunch of stuff floating all over the place. And that was one band I played with. I played with a 1980s, early 80s New York band called Die Hausfrauen. And Vera, if you're listening or check into this, if you're listening, hello. I saw her not too long ago. I did a stint with them for a year or two. And they had a record out, and they were, I think on Cash Slot Records or something like that. I don't know why all this is coming to me, but that I did a lot of rockabilly stuff, sat in with a lot of people, Simon and Bar Sinisters, Simon Chardier. He's a New York City guy, still around. And, I don't know, a lot of bands. A band called The Same. Had two other percussionists in the group. Carter Burwell was in that outfit as well. That was a long time ago. But all kinds of bands. Some didn't hit it. You thought Flip Top 5, that was another band that we had that was gigging around quite a bit, doing all original stuff.
And even during like the Matter Rose hiatus, and I think it was
after
like 95,
after Matter Rose, what I do? I think I got a job. And then, I still played. I played in a band called Cocktail Preachers, instrumental surf band from Chicago area. And they're still around. Actually. They've been around about 30 years. I played with them for 5. And there's another offshoot of that band called 13 Tikis that I gigged with a little bit. I don't know. Did a bit with Terminal White. Not much. Record some of my own stuff, Sit down in the basement and practice my faux jazz licks. So...
I
not
like that.
faux. I meant, like not real jazz licks.
Now, in New York City, I mean, that's where Matter Rose originally came out from. That's their
New York City band,
city of origin. Was Were there ever like any times like you would be like using like a taxi to go somewhere and someone says like, "Hey, aren't you that guy from Matter Rose? Aren't you that drummer from that band?"
No, that didn't happen. It didn't really happen in New York. That happened in some foreign countries, or some kid might. I think I was walking through an airport and some lady stopped me once. It was in somewhere in Europe. She goes, "Oh, wait, are you the drummer? We just saw your video or something," or they just saw something of us. And she made me sign something for a kid. I don't know. A kid was a big fan. So it happened a couple of times, but not much.
Make you feel good?
Yeah, but, I was... I guess it makes it feel good. It's kind of weird. I always felt a little awkward with it. It wasn't like, I could see if you're like, Mick Jagger or something, or, maybe if you're, Huey Lewis or something, someone big, or why did I say Huey Lewis? I don't know why. He just passed away. Sorry about that. I don't know why I used that one. But someone, Paul McCartney or something, I don't know how they deal with that all the time, but they're super famous. But, you just, like, you probably get recognized, I don't know how often.
Never.
Yeah, come on. No, it didn't happen all that much, but I'm uncomfortable with that. I just like
really?
I just like to float around and
just kind of just roll through it.
Yeah,
like a tumbleweed. Just
right.
Oh wow. If I'm not mistaken, there was a new Matter Rose album that you had released just this year, right?
Yeah, that just came out. Well, what is this? 2009. A couple months ago, August it came out. August 2019. If you want to date this, yeah, it came out. A small British label we connected with online. He was a fan, had a record company, put some cool stuff out, so kind of worked this deal. We recorded it in 4 separate places. A couple guys on the East, Mary and Billy are on the East Coast. I'm here, Midwest. Chris is out in L.A., and then our 5th member, Matt, who's played on this record as well. He came back to play on the record. He's in New York City still.
How do you guys go about recording that?
They would send me some fly tracks, I call them, just like a little click track on it and the main melody and maybe a little guitar part, and then I'd work a beat into it, send it back to them, and then they'd send it to the bass player and have him lay a bass line over some of the guitar work, and they just build it just like you do in the studio. You record, you record live, right? Okay, that might be the only difference, but most of the time you drop everything and replace all the tracks except the drums. The drums are the ones they keep. Oh, we got a solid drum track, then we'll rebuild everything else. But some bands do it live a little more or less. But
do you think there's going to be some sort of reunion tour?
There's been some talk. We were offered some British thing, but I don't know if that's going to come to fruition right yet. So there was talk maybe in 2020, but we'll see. In due time, I think we might do another recording, possibly, and try and garner a little more, maybe if we get a buzz going. But one good thing, it came out on vinyl, and it's actually out on CD as well, and you could get a digital one at tromerecords.com, TROME.com, tromerecords.com. And so I know that vinyl sold out, and a lot of people requested the CD because they wanted a physical thing to hold rather than just the digital thing.
I have a record player, so I might have to buy that album on vinyl.
So, yeah, I think they're going to put a second pressing. They didn't press a hell of a lot of them, but the ones we had, they pre-saled out.
Oh, that's a hit to the belt line right there. Because I'm like thinking like, oh wow, cool. Like I can fucking.
They might press more, but no. It turned out well. It's very nice, very nice, very nice. And I haven't seen Mary and Billy in a long time. Chris, I saw a few years back. We've kind of connected a few times. So it is what it is, but you move on, right?
Totally understand that. One thing that I've had the pleasure of like working with you with, it was Kids on Goop.
Yeah, the Kids on Goop thing. That's I don't know what that is. It's just an entity.
Where did that come from?
An entity my wife and I kind of put together, and I named it. My dad used to always yell at us when I'd see Rolling Stones on TV. Oh man, look at this, Dad. This is cool. Those guys look like creeps with the long hair. They're probably all hopped up on goop. So that was like a saying, old school saying that the guys all hopped up on goop. So that always stuck in my head, and then I just thought, oh, kids on goop or kids on goop. Look at us, guys stand on the corner, kids on goop. Don't hang around with those kids, that kind of thing, So
I do kind of dig out, how that name came into play.
Yeah, and it's kind of a studio thing. We just kind of work things out, put a few things together. It could be, it's kind of all over the board. So Think of a video, you write a song or you write a piece, and then you build around it. And then you're in the gutter suit.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
I was in the gutter suit.
I don't have a label or anything. It's just floating out there somewhere. So I'm trying to find out where to put it once I collect enough songs.
I like
Maybe
it though.
Well, thanks. I appreciate
like it. The gutter suit was fun. What was the other one? Oh, that wasn't even Kids on Goop related. That was Front Room related. The fashion show. The
Satchel fashion show.
Satchel or Satchel?
Satchel fashion show. Yeah, Satchel. I say Satchel.
I've been saying it's Satchel.
Yeah, Satchel fashion show. That's hard to say, really.
Satchel fashion show.
Fashion show.
Yeah, it does kind of like a tongue twister.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun doing that. And of course, like Tony said, once you get the booze in him, he'll start, he's a little bit more open to just doing whatever.
Me?
Oh,
you, yeah.
Because I did the whole
right, yeah. You had the shirt off and the whole bit.
The shirt off and big bag. Yeah. That was actually a lot of fun.
And your signature move.
Yeah,
the sunglasses.
The little glasses tilt, the little head down.
The glass dip. Yeah, the glasses dip, yeah.
I like that term a lot. Do you have anything else that you are like wanting to do? Like, do you want to take like Kids on Goop somewhere? Or is that really just like a hobby thing that you do now?
I'm just like chugging along. I probably should be working. More at it, but I got the radio show going and a few other things, and so I do it when something comes to my head. Just put it down. So that's it.
So WJOB essentially is like your employer.
Yeah, I cut spots for them. That's mainly what I do. And then had a few shows with them now, and now I'm down to kind of an online show called The Front Room. And they air it on WJOB. It's a pre-recorded bit. We do it at the house. So the wife and I, Marlo Kubic in The Front Room.
Marlo Kubic.
Yeah, you know what The Front Room is. You know what The Front Room is, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what it means, though?
It's like a living room.
Yeah, see, he gets it.
Some people are like the sound guy. We're on a topic about that.
Right. Well, some people just the front room. I don't get it because maybe it was more Midwest, I guess, Southern Midwest, where get out of the front. Kids, companies coming over, get the kids out of the front room.
I didn't even hear that term until high school.
Oh, my mom.
Front room.
Yeah, it was front room. But when you're in Chicago, you just front it. Like
when I thought of it, that's how you would call our living room. Yeah.
Well, most houses
were kind of always like that.
Bungalow style. You had the front room, dining room, kitchen. 2-3 bedrooms on the side, bathroom in the middle.
Yep.
That was the layout of all Chicago bungalows primarily.
Right when you walk in my parents' house, that's exactly how it is.
Yes.
The front room.
3 blocks.
And it goes to the dining room.
Yeah.
Then there's the kitchen.
Yep.
But then also with the kitchen, you cut that. You give like...
Do you have a pantry?
We do not have a pantry.
My aunt had a pantry. It was the size of your kitchen.
Like we have
this is a pantry? There's another room.
Pantries are huge, though.
Yeah,
I've seen some houses that have like real deep cut pantries,
like a long closet.
But like pretty much like you described it. So there's the living room, dining room, kitchen, and then there was the addition that became the laundry room.
Oh,
and then you got
my
parents'
sleep?
Room. I'm a basement rat.
Yeah,
basement boy.
That's all right, man.
I've always wanted that.
You had the action down there,
of course, all the time. And then there's the bathroom in the middle, and then the basement's designed out the same way, except when you get more towards the...
You realize that the listeners can't see that drawing you're doing.
Of course. Of course. I'm doing this out to myself.
It's basically 4 blocks with a little thing on the back for your sunroom or something, right?
Little thing here on the back would be the laundry room.
Okay, laundry room.
And that leads out to the back deck.
They call it the sunroom these days.
Sunroom.
They changed all the rooms. It's not the front room, it's the great room. I go, what's so great about it? You got to fucking paint the walls. Right?
That is true. You got to always paint the walls with
a day room.
Walls.
What's a day room?
Day room. That sounds like something in like a senior citizen home.
Right.
A day room. Like, come on, everybody.
Uncle Chester's over in the day room.
He's in the day room, just sitting there watching the sky pass. But yeah, I mean, I guess if we're talking about old like Chicago style houses, that's. I mean, all of Northwest Indiana though has that scrunched in because Chicago is just right there.
Bled over. That's all. Right.
Then you get those other houses in like the Munster Highland area.
The quads.
Lots
of stairs, many levels.
A lot of it looks like the houses sit flat ranch style, but there's always a basement to them.
Right.
The basements are cool.
Crawl space. No, I love basements.
What do you got? You got a ranch, no?
I have a ranch.
You have a ranch.
Not a real ranch. I have a ranch house, a ranch,
have a ranch
style house.
style
I don't
house.
own a ranch.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You don't got like horses and cows
Yeah,
and stuff on the ranch house. But you got the basement too in your ranch.
Right.
Your basement's actually really cool, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
I've seen it. That's such a random thing to just bring up. Your basement's cool.
Yeah, so I think it was on the cover of Architectural Digest one year.
Is that something that's by TFR Publishings?
I guess so, yeah.
TFR Publishings. So we've tackled everything.
Right.
But if there's one other thing I was going to ask.
No, what is it?
Does Matt Rose need a new singer? Pointed to myself. Oh, I can sing, man. We can do some Mary Jane by Rick James.
It's pretty tough to compete with Mary Larson.
I know. She's
great
a
vocalist.
really good singer.
Yeah.
There's still some things there that I do listen to.
If you like vocal stuff, listen to that new record.
That's next on my list. I actually had to write that down. Trome Records.
Right.
And that's who you guys all were with over there. Or that's who wanted
That's
it.
who put this record out, yeah. The record label, yeah.
So you recorded everything, obviously
Right.
individually, then sent it back over to him.
Yeah,
And he
mixed it all up and then
mixed
sent
and
it out.
mastered.
Yeah, Billy and a few other people put that all together on that end. So all in all, it's available at Trome Records. Matt Rose.
Do you have anything else for WJOB that you're going to do?
I don't know. That's kind of just.
I think you should be the one to buy that place.
Oh man.
You got to.
Hey, I'm just happy to be on the radio, So
Yeah.
I don't know what form or whatever, however it is, just to do my show. So check out the front room.
Oh yeah, definitely check that out, ladies and gentlemen. The Front Room on WJOB 104.7 FM, AM 1230.
Boy, he's trying to be one of them dear disc jockeys.
The disc jockeys. I actually had Tony's name on my phone like that for a while.
Really?
It said Tony Panic, WJOB AM 1230.
You had that all written on your phone. Okay.
All written on my phone for Tony. That's how it stuck to it.
Very good. Mike, thanks for having me, man.
Hey.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it much.
There was
And
another
Leo,
thing,
thanks.
but I really
What?
can't remember it. I can't remember it.
Food?
So.
No?
No, it wasn't food. There was something else
Another
I had
thing.
floating, and I meant to jot it down, and I totally forgot to. But we did tackle everything. Rick, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to bring you back on again
All right, man.
some later point on in life and call it Rick Kubic Returns.
All right, there you go. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, and good luck with the show. See, I said show, not podcast.
This is a start of something. It could go somewhere later on. I'm not going to go
Hey, you
crazy
never
if
know,
it
man.
doesn't. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode with Mike Escamilla, also known as Hash Time. I totally messed it up. We'll redo that later. We'll cut that out.
Beer.
Rick, again, thank you for coming out. Rick Kubic, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out the new Matt Rose record, or the album that's out, at TromeRecords.com. That's TROME Records.com.